The best HT, the best handheld transceiver, handy-talkie ham radio for 2023, coming into the fall of 2023. What are the best HTs you can get right now? This is my pick of the top 12 for this year. Let's go. Thanks for joining the channel today. I've been doing these videos about the best HT and the best mobile and the best HF radio since 2020, and they're some of the most popular ones according to you guys who watch the videos. I see the number of people watching them, I see all the comments, and I see all the good feedback on them. So this is the best HT of 2023. I'm going to go through my top 12 picks today. Throughout this video, you'll see links here for best HF radios, best mobile radios, and other things inside of this topic. Most of the time I start these videos with the lowest priced radio and I go up to the highest priced radio. So again, today that's what we're going to do. We're going to do number 12. Number 1 will be the top choice. Number 12 is the Baofeng. The Baofeng UV5R. I usually include the Baofeng UV5R, which is not a great radio, but it is an excellent starter radio, and especially right now, you can get this on Amazon at the time of this recording for under $20, $19.20 for a Baofeng UV5R. Dual band, 128 channels. You can buy extended batteries for it. You can buy a lot of accessories for it, get a lot of different features on it. 1800 milliamp hour battery is what it comes with. It's kind of a dirty radio. I mean, since it's less than $20, they're a great radio for entry level. If you've just got your ham radio license, they're a great radio to have as a backup somewhere, keep in your truck, go camping with. If you lose it, break it, you don't really care as much as you would. If you're camping with a $150 to $200 radio, you'd care more about losing it and breaking it than you would a Baofeng UV5R. Most people have 2 or 3 of these that they keep for backups in various places. I have one I think myself. Right now, I haven't used it in a while, but I know where it is and I can get to it if I need to. Just keep the batteries charged up. The UV5R, which is number 12 today, again, not the greatest radio on the planet, but an excellent entry-level radio to get your feet wet in the ham radio. If you've just got licensed and you want to try to test out some repeaters and use it for simplex and use it with some family members or other friends who have their ham radio license, then this could be a really good entry-level starting point for the new ham radio operator. So brand new for 2022, I think. I think this one came out in 2022. This is the upgraded version of the UV5R, the UV17R. I did a video a while back about the UV13R, which I think was new in 2022. I believe this one's from 2023. It doesn't really say on this page here, but again, on Amazon, less than $30, about $10 more than the last one we just talked about. The Baofeng is a Chinese company, and several of the radios we talk about today are going to be made in China, and several more are going to be made in Japan, and I'll tell you which ones are which throughout the video. So keep watching because you're going to want to see this. The UV17R is great, like the UV13R that I reviewed, has some of the first Baofengs to ever have 999 memory channels. Most of your Baofengs, most of the models, the UV82, the UV9R, 9X, and all these, most of them are limited to 128 memory channels. Some of them come with bigger batteries and whatnot. This one comes with a 1800 milliamp hour battery, same as the UV5R we just talked about, but it has 999 memory channels, which is similar to the WAON or the Oshang models of another brand of Chinese radio that we're going to talk about here in a minute. But those have had 999 memory channels for a long, long time, so Baofeng's finally upgraded their game to the number of memory channels that these can hold. The display is a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer looking, a little bit easier to read, easier on the eyes and whatnot, a little bit more color to it. So it's just an overall better looking radio, in my opinion. It's got a lot of really good features to it that they have upgraded, and you can still get it for under $30. So if you have the means to get this instead of the UV5R, I would recommend it instead of the UV5R. Now, one thing that I will say that I have said in past videos before is, if you're looking for your first HT, or maybe you're looking for your next HT, maybe you've got one and you want to upgrade it, okay? I suggest buying the most expensive radio that you can afford. And if the most expensive radio you can afford is a $30 radio, then hey, so be it. Great. Welcome to ham radio. Go out, use it, have fun with it. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. I always say buy the most expensive radio because it will last you longer. You buy a $18, $20 radio today, it's not going to last you as long as something that costs $150 or $200. And if you ever go to resell it, you want to resell it, get your money back, and get something larger, get an HF radio or something, get a mobile radio for your truck. You ever go to resell it, the more expensive radio you buy today is going to be worth more money on the resale market later on. So that's just my advice there. Next on the list, number 10, is the Explorer QRZ1 5-watt HT. Now, this is a Chinese-made radio. It's actually made by a company called TYT, but it was done in conjunction with the forums at QRZ, the owner of QRZ.com, which is a ham radio website, and the owners of Gigaparts. Gigaparts is where you can buy the radio. It's $59.95. They were giving a lot of these radios away for free. They gave away several thousand for free to people who are newly licensed within the last 6 months. I think they changed that to 18 months at one point. They gave away all they could, and now they're selling it for an incredibly, reasonably low price. This is a TYT radio made in China, but the firmware was designed and written in a joint effort between Gigaparts and QRZ, so they call it the QRZ1 Explorer radio. Explorer is a line of camping and overland type gear that Gigaparts has on their page. You can find videos about all of that stuff on this channel. And there's still ways to get some of these. You know, they kind of change over time about how to get coupons and whatnot for this. But I had someone comment on a recent video that said he just got one of these, and with shipping and everything, it was like $7. So there's still coupons out there somewhere. It's 5 watts. Both all the radios we've talked about so far have been 5 watts. It is dual band with the 2 meter and 70 centimeter bands for ham radio. It has 200 memory channels, so not as much as the previous Baofeng we just talked about, and it's got a bit smaller battery, 1400 milliamp hour battery, so a little bit smaller, a little bit higher price tag, but it's got a little bit cleaner signal as well. It sounds a little bit better on the receive end, sounds a little bit better to the other person when you're transmitting and they're receiving you, and it's just a really good looking radio. I've got one of these early on when they were new. I did a video about it, and I still like mine. It is just a monochrome screen, so you don't get as much as you do with the UV17R from Baofeng, but it is a good effort to support Gigaparts and QRZ, and it's going to be a little bit cleaner signal than most of your Baofengs have. So QRZ1 5 watt, that's number 10 on the list today. Moving down to number 9 is the first tri-band radio we're going to talk about today. Now, this is also made by TYT and sold by TYT and has other features in it. Let me get the picture up there. There we go. So you can see right here that this thing has a tri-band display. Some of these tri-band radios only have a dual band display, and you can get to all 3 bands, but you can only see 2 at a time. This one actually has a tri-band display. It has the 2 meter and 70 centimeter band on it, and in addition to that, it adds the 1.25 meter band, which we often refer to as the 220 megahertz band. If you are a technician or higher, you can use all of these bands for all of these radios we're going to talk about today. If you're interested in the 220 megahertz band, if you have 220 megahertz repeaters near you, or if you have a friend who's licensed and you guys want to get on 220 simplex, you would probably just about have the frequency to yourself. Now, 220 is not used as much as the other 2 bands are, but it is used. You can find repeaters, and you can have some really cool conversations on it. Number of channels is 128. This is the only radio I've ever seen with tri-band display where you can see all 3 bands on the screen at the same time. So I always thought that was a really cool feature. I have one of these radios. I use it usually at my hunting lease because we do some 220 work up there. I still like it today. I've had it for several years, and I still like it today. You can get it comes with 2 antennas, one for dual band and one for 220. You can get an extended antenna that will cover all 3 bands for it later. There it is right there. There's a picture of it right there. It is definitely on the list today. Number 9, your first tri-band HT from TYT. I really like that it's tri-band because I love the 220 band, and like I said, $71 today at the time of this, $72 really at the time of this recording on Amazon. Check the link for this and everything else in the description below. Affiliate links on Amazon, I do get commissions from those, but they do help to support the channel. So everything you buy on Amazon it helps to support the channel, and I appreciate you doing that. Moving down here, this is going to be our first Japanese radio of the day. This is made by a company called Yaesu. Basically, your 3 or 4 Japanese companies are Yaesu, Kenwood, Icom, and Elenco. Elenco makes some stuff in China, but they still make some stuff in Japan also. This is a Yaesu FT65R. It is a dual band, 2 meters and 70 centimeters. It comes single display, as you can see right here on the screen. There is a way to go in the menu and change it to a dual display. So you can have that if you want to. But anything made by Yaesu is going to be a much cleaner signal on the spectrum scope, much cleaner receive and transmit audio signal when you're talking to the other person. You're going to notice it. You may not notice it at first if you're brand new to radio, but once you kind of get used to listening to FN voice transmissions, you'll notice a little bit cleaner signal on some of these better radios. This one comes with a 1950 milliamp hour battery, so a little bit bigger battery than the other four we've talked about today. And it has a receive frequency range from 65 to 108 megahertz. So in other words, it'll receive FM broadcast radio, and then it receives from 136 to 174 and 400 to 480, but it only transmits on the 2 meter and 70 centimeter bands. It is 5 watts total max power. It has a 1 watt speaker. The speaker inside of this radio, the speaker that you listen to when someone's talking to you, is very loud and clean and clear. I've been impressed with the quality on that. So, and you can get an extended battery for it right there. So there's other options for it as well. So this is a really good addition to the lineup today. Just under $100 for a very tried and true, very good quality Yaesu Japanese-made radio. Along the lines of this radio is another radio that I'm not mentioning today. The FT4X and the FT4R are a good radio that's very similar to this one. Yaesu also has the FT60, which is probably 15, 20 years old now, but they still manufacture it because it's very, very tried and true, very solid, rugged, and people really like that radio. So there's a couple of models around this price range that you can get from Yaesu still, and hats off to Yaesu for making so many good quality radios at such reasonable prices. Number 7 comes from BetterSafeRadio.com. BetterSafeRadio.com is a U.S. company that works with a company in China spelled WAON. I think the proper pronunciation of it is Ocean or Oshang. I've been told that it's one of those two. Some people tell me in the comments, oh, I speak Mandarin Chinese, it's Ocean. And somebody else will come along and say, I speak Chinese, it's Oshang. You know what? It's spelled WAON, so we're going to call it WAON today. So the UV9D Plus from WAON is made in conjunction with Better Safe Radio. Now, always remember, you can save a 7% discount on BetterSafeRadio.com on any of their radios with the coupon code of HR2All7. These are great entry-level starter radios for the new ham radio operator because they come pre-programmed with over 900 memory channels in the radio. These channels include ham radio simplex channels, commonly used ham radio repeater channels, GMRS channels, police and fire emergency EMT channels, business band channels, a lot of other channels. Most of those channels are receive only because this radio only transmits on the ham radio bands, but it'll let you scan through all these frequencies and find out what activity there is near you, wherever you live, wherever you're located, and it'll let you monitor certain things that the other radios will sometimes do, but they don't come pre-programmed with that. This one does have a 9-band receive. So in addition to the 2 meters and 70 centimeter band, this one receives on 7 separate bands other than that. So you can receive all kinds of police and fire, EMT, care flight, all kinds of stuff there. This one comes in at $135 today. It is 5 watts. It has a super heterodyne receiver. So a lot of people care about that. And once you get more into radio and learn about direct conversion receivers or super heterodyne receivers, a lot of times people want these super head receivers because they are better quality. Also, most of these WAON radios are full duplexing, meaning you can use both bands at the same time. If you ever want to get into satellite operations, you're going to want a full duplexing radio. So this one will do that. All of these UV9 and UV8 series are full duplexing. Most of them are. About 95% of them are. I think all of them are, but I think there might be 1 or 2 holdouts. But all of the UV9 series are full duplexing radios. So this one has 5 watts, super het receiver, 999 memory channels, 7-band scanner, in addition to the 2 transmit bands that it has. Its big brother coming in today at number 6 is the UV9PX, Papa X-Ray as I call it, at $199. It has a few more features in it. It is 8 watts instead of 5 watts. It has the same code plug, the same programming for the 900 plus channels programming, so you can get that same programming in both radios. This one has a few more features like you can change the colors on the display. You can do certain things like that with it. A little bit more power since it is a 8-watt transceiver. It is the super heterodyne receiver, so a lot of people like that a lot better. Coming in $199 today. It has all the bells and whistles. This is their flagship radio on BetterSafeRadio.com, and you can save 7% off of that radio today with the coupon code of HR2All7. I really like the Oshang radios. I think that they are high-quality Chinese radios. Okay, there's some high-quality stuff made in China. Hytera is a fantastic commercial brand of radio that's made in China that is incredible quality and a competitor with Motorola. As far as the ham radios goes, the Oshang and the Anytones are probably some of the best radios that you will see in ham radio as far as build quality, receiver quality, and just overall features of what they have as compared to their competitors. So the Oshang radios, the WAON radios, I've always been a big fan of those. I own 3 or 4 different models, and I usually put them on lists when I make videos like this. Number 5 is a new addition to the ham radio world. This model only came out a couple of months ago. You see there's 4 colors: black, green, red, and blue. They still make them like that, but they had a few minor issues with the first round. This one comes from buy2wayradios.com. Buy2Way Radios is a sponsor of this channel, so every time you guys buy something from him, be sure to thank him in the notes of your order, because he's a good supporter of the channel. He sent me one of these radios to review. I reviewed it. I gave some feedback on things that I didn't like about it. I like most everything about it, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But he went back to WAON, and WAON said, okay, we can fix that, and now they have a second round. So if you buy today or later than today, you're going to get a second round of stuff that's fixed, like some splatter on the band and some receive sensitivity and that kind of things. It's just some really minor issues that were in the first round that they fixed and they don't have a problem with in the second round. The great thing about this one is it is a quad band radio. Okay, so we talked about tri-band a minute ago with 2 meters, 1.25 meters and 70 centimeters. This has all 3 of those bands, plus it incorporates the 6 meter band, which is around 50 megahertz. As a technician, you can use the 6 meter band. You can use everything above 50 megahertz in all modes. That's what technicians can use. You can use some HF with CW and phone as well, but you can use everything with 50 megahertz and above. So this is a quad band transceiver, 6 meters, 2 meters, 1.25 meters, and 70 centimeters. There's probably some 1.25 and 6 meter activity in the metropolitan areas, the big cities, Dallas, Fort Worth, outside of where I live, Houston area, and the major cities are going to have some 6 meter FM repeaters and some 220 repeaters. So if you can get into those, great. This might be great for you. But again, if you want to use simplex channels with a friend on 6 meters and 1.25 meters, you can probably almost have the band to yourself, because you're not going to find many people down there on simplex. But repeater work on that radio is fun. This is the only quad band we're going to talk about today. It has 999 memory channels. It is 6 watts on 2 meters and 70 centimeters. I think it does like 1 to 2 watts on 6 meters and 1.25 meters, if I remember correctly. It is IP67 rated, so there is that, which means it's going to be a little bit tougher, a little bit more waterproof than some of the other radios we talked about today. It has a flashlight in it. Okay, some of them have flashlights. NOAA weather alerts and NOAA weather channels are built into the radio already. It is capable of AM receive and FM transmit and receive, and it has all 4 of those bands. Analog only, repeater capable, that kind of thing. You can read about some reviews right here. Yeah, I really like this one. I've carried this one with me a couple of places, on a couple of trips I've gone, and it's actually going to go into my Go kit, and I'm going to keep it and use it a little bit more often. The KGQ10H is the model number on this radio. Great radio if you want to get into more than just the regular 2 meters and 70 centimeter band inside of ham radio. This is a great addition to the lineup today. Number 4, and this is literally one of my favorite radios. This is the Anytone AT-D878 UV2 Plus with free training course. Okay, this comes from bridgecomsystems.com. You can buy this radio in other places too, but I'll put a link to Bridgecom below. If you buy from Bridgecom, they're going to give you some excellent customer service. You got questions about anything inside and outside of the radio that you purchased, they will be very helpful to you. This is the one and only DMR radio we're going to talk about today. Now, let me explain what that is real quick. DMR is digital mobile radio. It is a digital voice mode. It's one of several we have inside of the ham radio world. This radio does full analog also. So it'll do full analog, regular analog radio, which everything we've talked about today has been analog only. This radio will do full analog too, and it'll do DMR on top of that. So you can use it on digital DMR repeaters and DMR hotspots, or you can use it on analog repeaters, analog simplex, the same way everything else does. This radio has 3,000 memory channels. So you can get 3,000 memory channels in this radio and save them all there. This is the highest memory channel I've ever seen on a radio like this. Anytone is a Chinese company, and as I said before, Anytone and WAON are, in my opinion, 2 of the best Chinese companies that are making some of the best ham radios in the world today. Are they comparable to the Japanese stuff? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Depends on which model you're talking about. Generally speaking, the Japanese stuff is going to be better, but the Anytone, if you go watch some videos on YouTube about the Anytone holds its own as far as battery life. It comes with an extended battery. It has a beautiful color display. It has built-in Bluetooth, so you can Bluetooth that little button right there. You can Bluetooth that button to it. The button's got a strap a Velcro strap that you can put around your finger, or you can put it on the steering wheel of your car. You push the Bluetooth button and it keys the radio, so you can have the radio on your belt. You can have it hanging up in the car, something like that, not have to actually reach for the radio. So it has Bluetooth, and it has true transmit and receive APRS. APRS is the automatic packet reporting system. It's basically a beacon that shows people where you are that you can turn off and on. And it also gives you weather alerts. You can send text messages over it. A lot of different stuff you can do with APRS. Most of your Chinese radios are not going to have APRS. A couple of the radios we talk about today will have APRS, but this is one of the only Chinese radios that has true transmit and receive APRS. So if that's something you want to get into later on, this is a great option for you. I've got a couple of videos I'm working on that show APRS on this radio. I've got several videos on this radio on this channel already. You can watch those and read up on it. But this is when I talk about my HT Go Kit, I have a box that I carry all my favorite HTs in. This one is in there. I've got this one in there. I use it often. It's a great radio. It has excellent sound quality on both transmit and receive. It's got a long battery life. It's got a huge memory channel. It's got a huge contact list. And with transmit, APRS, and receive, it definitely goes on the list today. Number three on the list, counting down to 1. This is an Icom ID50A. Now, short history on Icom here, and several other companies have done the same thing. Icom comes out with the ID51 several years ago. They discontinue it. The ID52 came out, which is their flagship HT, we're going to talk about here in a minute. And then they come out with an ID50, going backwards in numbers. I don't know. Like I said, several companies have done that. This is basically a watered-down and less featured version of the ID52 for a lower price tag. It's dual band. It has a beautiful display on it. Most of these Icoms have really, really great looking displays on them. It is a monochrome display, but it does do D-Star. Now, D-Star is another digital mode inside of ham radio. So we're going to talk about DMR, D-Star, and Yaesu System Fusion today. We'll get to the System Fusion HT here in just a minute. This one is fully D-Star compatible. It has built-in GPS, and you can load repeaters into the radio with a micro SD card on the slot on the side of the radio, and it will use the GPS in the radio to find repeaters near you. So you can preload all of that while you're at home and go on road trips and find repeaters near you from the database that's available for this. A lot of the Icom radios do that. So it's a really cool feature of some of the Icom radios that'll do that. So it will do D-Star, it will do analog, and it has a really good feel to it. It's just, I really like the way these two Icom radios, the ID50 and the ID52 feel. The ID52 is in my Go box. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. This one just came out. They just released it 2 or 3 months ago. Again, they released it because the ID52 is their flagship. It's the one with the highest price tag in their arsenal, and they released this one, took a few of the lesser used features out of it, and lowered the price down to only $400. Yes, only $400. But coming in today at number 3, it is a $400 price tag, and it is a brand new radio on the market for 2023. And Icom is a Japanese company, and they make just some of the most excellent transceivers for HTs, for mobile radios, and for HF radios in the ham radio world today. Moving on to number 2, this is probably my favorite radio out of everything we're talking about today. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Okay, this is the Yaesu FT5DR. It does Yaesu System Fusion, which is another digital mode, and it does full analog. It is dual band. It has Bluetooth, just like the ID50 does. So you can Bluetooth a speaker to it, you can Bluetooth a headset to it, that kind of thing. This is one of the first Japanese radios that had true APRS, full transmit and receive APRS. Easy to send text messages over APRS, easy to get weather bulletins and announcements over APRS. You can set up groups in APRS. You can do all kinds of good things with APRS. This has a really pretty display on it. You can change modes on it. You can go into the menu and do it's a touchscreen. It's a touchscreen, unlike most of the other ones we talked about today. Some people like the touchscreen. I could take or leave the touchscreen. I don't really care one way or the other. It is kind of a nice feature, but it's not something I would purchase an HT or not purchase an HT over. So it has 999 memory channels. It has a high resolution display. It comes with a 2200 milliamp hour battery, which is bigger than most of the batteries we've talked about today. It has true APRS. This is the HT that I generally have on me when I'm traveling. Now, I talked about my HT box. This is included in it, but instead of having all my HTs in a box, which is how I carry them around when I travel, I usually have this one on my belt. I usually pull it out, put the antenna on it, put it on my belt, and I have it and I use it. $429 on the price list today. They had these on discount at Dayton Hamvention last May for $300. If you really want to grab one of these today, $429 is the standard price. You can find them on sale. Black Friday's coming up in about a month and a half from the time of this recording. I suspect you will see some Black Friday sales on this radio. So this is, this is probably one of my, between this one and the Anytone we just talked about, those are probably two of my most favorite radios on the list today. Number 2, the Yaesu FT5DR. Great radio, great battery life, easy to charge. It's got a USB-A connector, the cable that they make for it, where you can plug in the proprietary barrel connector on the radio into a USB-A port. It's also chargeable via 12 volts, so you can make your own connector and plug it in between the radio and Anderson power poles. 12-volt chargeable radio. What in the world is wrong with that? Nothing. So, great radio today, Yaesu FT5DR. Number 1, and again, just because of the price, I told you at the beginning, we're doing these in price points. Okay, so number 1 on the list is the Icom ID52. This is the big brother of the ID50 we spoke about a minute ago. This is the flagship of the Icom HT world right now. It is 2 meters, 70 centimeter with wideband with D-Star GPS, submersible, is waterproof, dual band HT transceiver radio. It has the same feature on it where you can load the repeaters into from a micro SD card in the side of the radio, and it will use the GPS to find out which repeaters are near you. You can talk on local repeaters. It has a picture sharing function. It has a large color display, unlike the ID50 that has a monochrome display. This one has Bluetooth enabled. It has a waterfall display. You can see a waterfall on the band if you want to monitor the band that way. Kind of a neat feature. It includes dual watch. In DV mode, you can do VV, UU, or VU on the display, which means a VHF channel, 2 VHF channels, 2 UHF channels, or 1 VHF and 1 UHF on the display, so you can monitor pretty much anything you want to. It has an FM broadcast receiver if you want to listen to FM radio in your local area, micro SD card slot, micro USB connector. This one does charge via micro USB. This is the only radio we're talking about today that does not have a proprietary charging connector. You get a regular standard micro USB cable from Amazon, plug it in the side of the radio, plug the other end of it into like a USB-A or USB-C or wherever you want to do, and it will charge the radio via micro USB. So the ID50 is something I forgot to mention. Since it's a newer radio, the ID50 will actually charge via USB-C. So Icom's doing a really good thing with their charging systems on their latest HTs, where you can charge them with non-proprietary USB cables of some sort. This one is micro USB because it's a little bit older than the ID50, but nevertheless, you can still find micro USB cables everywhere. Everywhere on Amazon, you find micro USB cables. You can find them in truck stops and grocery stores everywhere, and you can use a non-proprietary cable to charge this radio and to charge the ID50 as well. So if you're into D-Star, this is one of the most popular, mostly used D-Star radios on the market today. It is a great radio in addition to lineup number 1. Now, I have a bonus for you because I told you about 12 HTs, and the 12 HTs, the reason I picked these 12 is because they're all in production. They're all radios that I have used, and they're all radios that I think are going to be great for a new buyer of a radio or a new ham radio operator, whichever one you might be, whichever one fits your description. So the 13th bonus, which is actually not out yet, and I suspect it's going to have a higher price tag than $599. So we'll see. I don't know. We're hoping to see this radio by the end of the year, but it is the updated version of the Kenwood D74A, which was an excellent tri-band 2 meters, 220 and 440 HT with D-Star and true APRS in it. Kenwood last May in Hamvention announced their D75. Now the D75, again, it was announced. It's not out yet. It's not readily available yet. It looks really cool. It's got a great looking color display. It is still going to be tri-band that incorporates the 220 band along with 2 meters and 70 centimeters. It is going to have Bluetooth the way the old version did. It is going to have true send and receive APRS, full APRS, just the same way the D74 did. Kenwood did an excellent job with adding APRS to that radio, and it's really fun to use. In addition to that is a couple of new things. Number 1, it will be USB-C chargeable. So you'll be able to charge this radio via USB-C. I think you're going to start to see that a little bit more and more. The Japanese companies have been slow to come online with USB-C charging. Lots of your Chinese radios have USB-C charging, but the Japanese companies are finally starting to come around to that as well. And this one will have USB-C charging. The demo model that we saw at Dayton Hamvention in May of this year had a USB-C charger. It also can act as an APRS digipeater, which means you can put it up with a larger antenna and you can digipede APRS signals in certain areas where you are. I think that's going to be a neat feature that I'm going to use. If you don't know much about APRS, you don't know much about digipeters and iGates, check this channel. I've got some videos on that. Go look at a channel called KM4ACK. He's got a lot of really excellent videos about APRS and digipeters on his channel as well. He's a good friend of mine. His name's also Jason, so there's nothing in the world wrong with that. But the Kenwood TH-D75A is the top-of-the-line radio. I suspect, we don't know what the price tag is going to be. At the time of this recording, we don't know. And we don't even know exactly when it's going to be released. They're saying by the end of the year, hopefully by Christmas, hopefully in time to order them and get one for Christmas, or maybe give it as a gift, maybe to yourself for Christmas. I don't know. It is going to be the absolute drop-dead flagship radio of Kenwood, which is another Japanese company, and it's going to be a really cool radio and lineup to this. So I'll have one as soon as they're available, and hopefully be making some videos with it because I really like APRS and all the features that it has. And I like the 220 band, as I said earlier. Those are your 12 plus 1, so 13 with a bonus. Top HTs for 2023. I'd like to know which HT you have, which one you use. Was it one of these or was it something else? Put a comment below. 73.